So, welcome to another video, all you fine folks out there. Today we're going to be talking about GenCon, which is the largest gaming convention in the United States, possibly the world, that is coming up here in a few weeks in Indianapolis, Indiana. We're going to be going and hopefully getting some footage to show everyone out there who can't attend what it looks like.
Also just see what we can get from various companies attending as sneak peeks of sorts.
Yes, hopefully we'll have more than one video. Actually, we should have at least two that we already have planned. And then beyond that, we'll hopefully be able to do some reviews, some sites of things that are coming out, things of that nature, hopefully. Have to see. But that is the present plan. So, for those of you who don't know what GenCon is, as I said, it's the largest gaming convention in the country and I believe the world. It is so named because it was originally held around Lake Geneva. So Geneva, GenCon. Whereas about, I believe, 20 years ago, it was right around there, it was moved to Indianapolis, Indiana. And that was the first year that I personally attended. And I've been going every year since then. Aside from 1 year where it didn't happen because of the pandemic, it has been going every year since then in Indianapolis. And it is not so much an industry convention in that the various vendors aren't necessarily trying to convince like a Walmart or a Target to carry their wares. It is definitely more trying to convince customers such as us to buy them either there or they're previewing something that will be eventually available at a game store. So it is more that kind of convention as opposed to an industry show. I believe, although I do know there are events that take place on Wednesday that are more industry related, but as I'm not a game retailer, I have never bothered to go Wednesday. So that's the very, very brief show. We'll get into more details here in a moment.
I have a question before we go any further, Bob.
Okay.
You said it's the largest gaming convention. Is that all games? Is that video games? Is that board games? Is that card games?
That is tabletop gaming.
Yeah. That's actually a really good question, Brad. I should have clarified that. That is predominantly non-video gaming. So that is board games, miniature games, tabletop games, card games, like Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon.
Magic the Gathering.
Not like poker and blackjack, as a clarification on card games. Role-playing games, both live action and not so much live action. So it is more along the lines of that type of gaming. While there are some video game elements present, they're more of a, hey, here's something to do to spend your time, and not a, hey, we're previewing the newest version of Doom here. That's more like E3.
Although, around the time the BattleTech games were coming out, they were previewing them at GenCon.
That's true.
But that's because they were directly tied to BattleTech, which is a miniatures game for tabletop.
Right. So you do occasionally get crossovers like that, and you will have like Nintendo of America will show up, but that's because of the Pokemon card game, and less because of any kind of video games. So I believe
and that's mini tabletop role-playing games. That's not just Dungeons & Dragons,
yes,
which we do kind of lean into a little bit, although there are other games that we are going to talk about. They played a lot of, I intend to, and we will delve into. But we are leaning heavy into Dungeons & Dragons right now just because that's what we're doing right now. And that's what I know the most about. But it is not just Dungeons & Dragons on the TTRPGs. It's any role-playing game, basically.
Yes. Overall, this is games both big and small, as far as their footprint in the industry. In fact, speaking of Dungeons and Dragons, fun fact here, Wizards of the Coast hasn't actually had a presence there in years. They used to have a gigantic booth at one point in time, and it began to get smaller and smaller, and now they, as a company, don't even show up. They have another company run their games for them, but I believe it's a budgetary issue of the cost of coming from Seattle, moving everything here to Indianapolis, and then back is a bit of a burden, I would have to assume, for probably not a tremendous increase in sales because everyone's already playing the game apparently based on their sales.
It would seem to me that they would still want some sort of presence there, though. That baffles me. That I mean, you don't send one person out with a PowerPoint presentation or something. Just that be a presence there baffles me. But that's not my decision at all.
Right, and I actually agree with Brad on this one completely. Like I was very surprised the year that they stopped. I believe that was during 4th edition, and I just assumed that was because it was the dark times.
Mm-hmm.
But they never resumed, so I don't know. They have someone else running their games for people that want to play Dungeons & Dragons and like their official campaign tournament settings. I don't actually know what the terminology is for that.
Adventures League.
Thank you, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Until I do my homework for this. So, and I want to say it's Goodman Games, but I could be mistaken. But anyway, well, Goodman Games also sells their own products too. But overall, like, I think they're looking at it as any vendor that's selling role-playing games is going to be selling their role-playing game. So, you know. But like Brad said, it is kind of baffling. You would think that they would send somebody, because Paizo does. Even though they're presently in 2nd place in the RPG game, I believe, at this point. I know they're not first. It's just a matter of if they're still in 2nd. They have a huge booth. Now, there's not a lot to it. It's a giant open area. But they bring all their products that they have available. You know, everything for Pathfinder, all the dice, the miniatures, the map sets. I mean, they bring it all and sell it directly to the people. And, you know, there's constantly a line at their booth, so they've got to be doing something right.
Catalyst Game Labs makes a trip from Seattle every year.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these companies are based in Seattle, for those of you that don't know. I have no idea why, but they are.
Catalyst usually has a Future of Catalyst seminar that they do.
Yeah, you know, Catalyst is a smaller company, so they may feel that maybe they feel it's not beneath them if that's what Wizards of the Coast is thinking.
To Bob's point, Wizards of the Coast has such a market share already. They probably don't feel the need. Like Bob said this earlier. They probably haven't seen the numbers, the metrics that would lead them to believe that it's a worthwhile endeavor for them to pack all their stuff from Seattle and back. And I understand that entirely. They've already got their market share, whereas Paizo and Goodman Games and whoever else is still trying to build that. So I understand that, but to not have a presence at the largest tabletop gaming convention, at least in the country and perhaps the world, especially at a time of monumental growth that Dungeons and Dragons has enjoyed over the last 8 years or whatever since 5e come out, and you know, Critical Role and all the other live streamers and just all of the growth and the, you know, nerd is the new cool, or you know, it's with everything that's happening in the gaming industry right now, and obviously there's still growth because they just bought D&D Beyond, and with that growth still there and still happening, it just baffles me that they wouldn't at least send one person out with a whiteboard and some literature or something just to be a presence there. I just don't understand that, but that's above my pay grade. And
not to continually brag on Wizards of the Coast here, but it's, you know, just sitting here thinking about it, it's even more baffling given that this year, because we signed up for this, we know, a new Dragonlance book novel is being released at GenCon, and given some of what has shown up in the miniatures and elsewhere, pretty well everyone knows a new Dragonlance campaign book is on the way. It's just a matter of when. And you would think, like, with the novel coming out, like, you know, I mean, I guess it remains to be seen. Maybe someone from Wizards of the Coast will show up for that. and say, hey, by the way, we're also releasing this new campaign setting. But at the moment, I'm not counting on that. So, if
there's all kinds of games. There's Vecna, Large Any Charge, and Stranger Things, and
yeah,
I got to believe that there's new stuff coming out with Joe Manganiello and his whole Vecna thing, and with the Stranger Things happening, and it just seems to me that would just be a couple plane tickets and a couple hotel rooms and some carry-on luggage is a small price to pay to be a presence at something like that. But obviously they're smarter than I am, so what do I know? But I don't understand it.
Well, I think I've told Chad this story before. WizKids is the company who makes the game HeroClix, among other games. They used to be an independent company, are now owned by Nika Studios. Before they went under originally, which is why they wound up with Nika Studios, they went from having a sizable booth to 1 year, if I recall correctly, was like about a 6 or 8 foot long glass topped case, and the thing they were selling was a HeroClix figure with no dial. The dial was to be made later and sent to you, or something to that effect. This was years ago, and I'm probably mainly that, but like, it was definitely a case of like
it was Thor's Chariot.
Yeah, it was Thor's Chariot. My friend Chris and I saw this, and it was definitely a how the mighty have fallen moment. But they still showed up. Like, at that point in time, I can only imagine like what limited chunk of their budget that was. But they still showed up. So for Wizards of the Coast to not, it does lend questions arise, I should say.
I mean, it could be anything. They could have had a falling out with the promoters of GenCon.
WizKids done that.
It could be anything, and I'm sure they've got a good reason. And I'm not trying to. I love Wizards of the Coast. I love Dungeons and Dragons. I love what they're doing. I love the fact that they bought D&D Beyond and are trying to expand, and I can't wait to see what them buying D&D Beyond means to the whole medium in general. So I'm not trying to trash on them at all, but I just do not understand them not being there. I just don't.
So, moving on. I originally started going to GenCon the first year that it moved to Indianapolis. I have a friend, Chris, who contacted me one day, just kind of out of the blue. He was living in Indianapolis at the time. And he's like, hey, so there's this GenCon thing happening. It's like, I think 2 weeks out from when it was going to be. And I was like, yeah, I've read about it in some magazines. And, at the time, this was, we were playing HeroClix at the time. This is after having played Overpower back in high school, which was the one and only venture into collectible card games I've made, thankfully. I did buy some Magic cards, not very many. Not to play, I just thought the cards looked kind of cool, which is probably even worse. So, yeah, it is. I'll show them to you sometime.
You have a follow up.
So he called me and was like, hey, so do you want to go to this? And what is it? I had read about it in magazines, and I read that it was coming to Indianapolis, because at the time they used to print magazines on paper that you could buy in grocery stores, and that's how you got your information. It wasn't all at your fingertips online like it is now, which renders magazines basically useless.
Dang, Grandpa.
Yeah. So, so that was back when we had to walk uphill both ways to school in the snow.
Had to buy your tickets to GenCon via messenger pigeon.
Yeah. So I went up there. We went to the show, and we bought our tickets at the door because obviously, a week, 2 weeks away from it, we couldn't pre-order. Now we got really lucky in that we got there fairly early, went to the will call, the ticket line very quickly. It only took us about an hour. Now this was the first year they were in Indianapolis. In the time it took us to go through the line, by the time we were done in the line was outside and around the building. whereas we were quite comfortably inside the entire time we were in line. So I can only assume the people towards the end of that line were waiting hours and hours in comparison to where we were.
When he says comfortably, he means that because it's in August in Indiana.
Yes, in August in Indiana, where you occasionally need snorkeling equipment to walk around outside.
At the very best, it feels like you're trying to breathe through a warm, wet washcloth as soon as you walk out the door.
Yeah, and they keep the inside of the convention center quite cold. So, and as you can probably imagine, not to demean our fellow gamers in any way, but
I'm carrying around an 80-pound parka flab and fur with me everywhere I go.
At least there was a point in time where this is what you're looking at for the average gamer.
That's a lot of pretty. That is a lot of pretty.
Now, I have personally noticed that there's a younger, thinner crowd beginning to show up, which is good. I'll have to ask them what their secret is to being thin one day, but
it's the metabolism.
It's eating healthy. It's and getting exercise.
Eating
well, I mean, I'm not saying we're going to do that. I'm just saying that's how you do it.
I don't know, Brad. I don't think anyone in this country eats healthy.
Nah, well.
Look, it's metabolism. Trust me.
So anyway, so they keep it very cold in there, which is comfortable for people like us. So that's pro tip, like number one here. It is cold inside the convention center. If you get cold, bring a jacket. Pro tip number two, as my story hopefully illustrated, is buy your tickets in advance.
Yes.
And as addendum to that, have them mailed to you.
Yes.
Unless you're in like a foreign country or something, in which case you might not want to roll the dice on that.
So you're saying I don't want to wait in will call?
No. And if you're going to, GenCon takes place over a 4-day span. It starts on a Thursday and runs through Sunday. They are open on Wednesday for will call, badges, all that kind of stuff. So if you're coming from out of town, or if you're already in town, and you were there Wednesday and you have to go pick something up, do it Wednesday. Do not wait till Thursday. And
Pro tip.
And definitely don't wait till after Thursday, because then you're missing out on the show.
Yeah.
Also, as should be obvious, if you do buy the tickets in advance, if you're going 3 of the 4 days, buy a 4-day badge because it's cheaper. Depending on the days, I believe if you're going Friday and Saturday most years, just buy the 4-day badge. It's cheaper than those 2 days because Saturday is like the day. And I'll kind of get to that here in a minute as well. So anyway, we went down there, badges, got through it pretty quickly. Being the first year that we were there, we had no idea how ticketing or anything else worked for events. So we spent a good chunk of time basically just wandering the dealer's hall, looking at various things spread out. Once we kind of started to get a grasp of things, we found events we wanted to do, got tickets for them, which is the will call line disaster, or ticketing as it is at that point if you haven't bought the will call. Now, just straight ticketing does go much faster than will call. So, just again, another little pro tip there. And so, like I said, that was almost 20 years ago, or it was 20 years ago.
Dang.
And and so there have been a lot of changes since then. First and foremost, the building it's hosted in is the Indianapolis Convention Center. It has doubled in size since then. And now the main area is the dealer hall is now in an area that's something like 1.5 times the size of what it was for the first 10, 12 years it was there. And it is still packed with very minimal room to move, with people going up and down each of the lanes and everything.
And do I understand correctly that there's still, even though they've increased the size of the convention center, there are still many events and activities outside of the main area as well?
Yes. There are a number of events that take place in Lucas Oil Stadium, which is connected. It's another nice thing. Several hotels and buildings in the downtown Indianapolis area are completely connected and climate-controlled tunnels and tubes and whatnot.
Skywalks and all kinds of things.
You can go like halfway across downtown without ever having to go outside if you do it right.
If it's hot and sweaty in August, if it's cold and rainy in January.
Yeah.
Indianapolis is your place for such things. You can get restaurants, movie theaters, hotels, convention centers, football games, without ever walking outside.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, and so, as Brad asked, there are a number of events take place in the neighboring hotels, their conference rooms and whatnot, and there's ticketing for all of that too. And there's a number of events that take place in Lucas Oil Stadium. In past years, and I believe this year, that's like True Dungeon, which I could probably do a whole separate video on what that is, but essentially it's not quite LARPing, or at the very least you're not LARPing, but the people putting it on are LARPing, or it's essentially live action Dungeons and Dragons, but you're not actually LARPing. You're playing shuffleboard most of the time.
Puzzles and shuffleboard.
Yeah.
But there are people LARPing around you.
Yes, but the people who are putting on the show are LARPing.
Full costumes and everything.
Yeah, special effects. It's a high end production. It's worth it doing it at least once, just so you know what it is. Some people, that's what they do the entire convention, as near as I can tell.
Now that is, as far as I looked at a lot of different events and seminars and games, blah, 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 all the things. And that was one of the more expensive things, right? That's like $80.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. The people that do that a lot, I'm assuming, are bankers or in another shape, another somehow loaded. Because my friend Chris and I are going to be doing it once this year, and we couldn't justify doing it twice. So, and we'd gone into it planning on doing it twice. But we couldn't justify it because of the increased cost. Maybe that makes us, poor, I don't know. Probably not. But maybe less willing to just completely throw away money. Also, probably not. If you knew anything about my spending habits, you'd know that's entirely false. But
also, I mean, there are all different levels. There's free things, there's $5 things,
Yes.
there's $30 things, all the way up to, if Critical Role happens to be over at the Murat Theater doing a live action role play thing, then that's a couple, $200, $300 to go see that.
yeah.
They're not there this year, I don't think, last I heard.
No, they were up in Chicago this year.
But I have seen them there before, and I looked into what tickets cost to go to that, and it was more than dungeon crawling.
So, anyway, like I said, I've been going for roughly 20 years. My friend Chris, we go every year. Our interest have changed as we've gone along. Started off with HeroClix, shifted to the Dungeons and Dragons miniature skirmish game, and the Star Wars miniature skirmish game. Then once all of those died, just kind of drifted, did some things here and there. Finally did True Dungeon one year. I've been in a couple times since then, and so that's it's most of what we do there, as far as my friend Chris and I. And then one year invited Chad to come along.
That was GenCon 50th anniversary, if I remember correctly.
Was it really?
It was either the 50th or the 49th.
Yeah.
Which would have been what year?
Well, this year's the 55th.
So
you've been going 5 or 6 years.
yeah, except for the 1 year it didn't happen.
I don't want to hear your flimsy excuses. You missed a year. That's on you.
You know what's funny? I have official dice from that year.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so do I.
So, yeah.
But yeah, Bobby invited me along 1 year. We were working together at the time, and I didn't have anything else I was using my vacation time on.
Plus, sure, he's going to say your $1,000.
And we have similar interests, so I was like, sure, I'm more than willing to go. Let's see what it's like. And I've gone every year they've held it since then. That first year, I'm pretty sure it was GenCon 50th.
It had to, if it wasn't, it was the 40. You're right. It was either that or the 49th. It was right around there. It's one of the other.
Because it blew my mind going there. The dealer's hall, seeing everyone just crowded in there.
Yeah. If you're not ready for the crowds, like,
I think
you're in for something.
I think the one word I said the most at any Gen Con is sorry, because you're going to accidentally bump into someone. It's going to happen if you go. Just accept it before you even get there.
How do you know they didn't like it? What are you apologizing for?
It was unintentional,
Okay.
and it's letting them know I didn't mean to bump into them.
Okay.
But I've did True Dungeon twice with you and Chris.
Yeah.
I don't see the appeal myself, but I can see how other people would love doing it. So I'm not going this year.
You're not going to
True
the
Dungeon.
Crawl.
Yeah.
You are going to GenCon.
Yes, I am going to Gen Con, but not True Dungeon.
Yeah.
And neither am I.
Like, I think this year is the most events I've ever signed up for. Every other year, it's mostly been costume contest, playing some HeroClix, and Dealer's Hall.
Yes, Chad here is someone else that I suckered into playing HeroClix at one point.
Yes.
We have since, again, given up on the game for reasons that if everyone really wants to know, we'll elaborate on in another video. So, Brad, what is drawing you to this event?
Why you, Bob? So this is my first year.
Understandable.
Magnetism, not gravity. Yeah. So
Well said.
I've been listening to Bob talk about this for a decade. I used to work for a company that Bob's dad owned, and so I've known Bob for quite a while, and we spent some time together, gone to movies, and talked about gaming, and talked about GenCon several times. I just never went before, but I'm going this year, mostly because of this channel and the associated website that we hope to put together at some point. This online project that we're doing, has led me to go to this, to just dive deeper in. Of course, I'll enjoy spending time with Bob and Chad and Chris and Bob's girlfriend's going to come for a while. Sarah's coming for a while.
That is the plan at the moment. Yes.
So I look forward to meeting her. I've not met her yet. But point being, I'm mostly there just to try to immerse myself into the whole scene. Also, there are several seminars and workshops that I want to go to that we're going to talk about here directly. But in addition to going and recording some videos and doing some interviews and just meeting people and immersion, this year I'm going to learn. We will talk about what I hope to learn later, but I hope to learn. And I'm sure in future years I'll go and become more involved in the gameplay or the dungeon crawls or whatever, as I become more familiar with more of the games that Bob and Chad play and what we'll find up there in the dealer's hall. Which is something else I wanted to touch on before we got too far, and I forgot to loop back to it. Dealer's hall. Now, he's not talking about the blackjack pit. He's not talking about a bunch of people dealing three-card poker. Explain the dealer's hall really quickly for people like me who don't know what we're talking about.
Okay, so the dealer's hall is like the central thing. It's what takes up the biggest area. But essentially it is the various companies that have come to sell their wares, and that's not just like we talked at length about Wizards of the Coast, but like Paizo has their own booth. Well, that's not just the companies that actually manufacture them. There will also be companies like Cool Stuff and Miniature Market that have their websites that are direct sellers. They'll have booths set up there,
And
but
they'll bring their product from their store to Gen Con to sell.
right, and so it's a number of game producers who brought their product to sell. There's secondary stores trying to sell them. People will be selling like individual cards and miniatures and things like that. You'll have demos for a lot of whatever their new hotness is. They'll run the demos in the dealer hall, so they don't have to rent a room someplace else. Although some of them will also do that.
That's me, by the way.
That's it.
I'm the new hotness.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's getting kind of warm sitting here. So,
That's what I do.
yeah. So that's the bulk of it. It's mainly for them to show off. It's for the producers of the games. It's for them to show off their new products, existing products, try to get you excited about them. For others, it's literally just, hey, we have an online store. We can actually sell directly to people here. I'm not going to speculate too much on the fact that some of them will take cash and are clearly not charging to you taxes on things. Whatever happens, happens, I guess. But essentially, that's it. Then you also have all the like satellite kind of things that are just kind of related to that. So you have like your T-shirt stands, your dice displays. Like ChessX is a major dice company.
They usually have at least 2 booths at
GenCon.
GenCon.
They have 3 or 4. Yeah, they're spread everywhere.
Booths that you can go to get outfitted for your Renaissance fair.
Well, yeah, they'll have those too.
Yeah.
And like
Or
companies.
LARPing.
Yes. Companies that sell like high-end gaming tables. And to be clear, whenever I say that, I mean like $5,000 and up high-end tables.
Wormwood has a booth. Pretty sure.
Yeah. Companies that sell like, if you've ever seen like some board games, there are companies that produce new inserts so you can better organize the pieces. Those companies will be present there, and just all anything that a company feels is at least tangentially related to something to do with gaming. And since the bulk of gaming involves fantasy or sci-fi, you'll have booths, strictly related to that, like the aforementioned LARPing and Renaissance Fair type stuff. You'll also see some fantasy stuff like that, although it leans way more towards the medieval end than the sci-fi end. And so essentially it's a gigantic shop, okay, and it's
the Mall of America for nerds.
Yeah, that's actually
That's a pretty good description.
I just thought of that.
And now it is open like Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of the show. It opens at 10 a.m. and closes at 6 p.m. And then on Sunday, it opens at 10 and closes at 4. 4 p.m. is the end of the show. No more events occur, no nothing. Now, just because the dealer's hall is closed doesn't mean other events don't continue. If you were to happen to look at the event catalog, you'll notice things go to like 3 and 4 in the morning because things are running constantly at the show. But that's the overview of the dealer's hall.
And that's a good point too. We live in the year 2022. You can get on the interwebs and type in GenCon and read all about it. You'll be able to get on there. You'll be able to go through their menu of the different events they're going to have, the different games, what times, what days, what seminars, what workshops.
Which companies are going to be in Dealer's Hall?
All of it. Links to hotels and all the things. So if you have any questions, well, first of all, feel free to put them in the comment section, and we will do our best. They will do their best to answer those questions. I will do my best to direct them to answer those questions, or just go searching yourself. The interwebs is an amazing thing.
So since Brad asked about Dealer's Hall, this would be a good time to explain like the rest of the show. So we mentioned that there are events like True Dungeon. Now those do not occur in the Dealer's Hall. Those occur in their own little area someplace else, which means that they are free to operate from the opening moment of GenCon, which I always thought was 10 a.m. on Thursday, but we've signed up for an event at 8 a.m. on Thursday, so apparently it is earlier than that. And this will be a learning experience for all of us. And an exercise in if we can get up early enough.
I have faith in us.
I have less faith because I have taken a while to get up. So
I have 100% confidence in myself, just so y'all know. If we're late, it'll be because they're late.
I have confidence in these two. So he's never late. Meanwhile, I was like 3 hours late to work today, so
That's factually accurate.
and that hardly ever happens. Just for crystal clarity, like if I'm late, it's like 5-10 minutes. It's not like this was an extreme situation. But anyway, so those events are going to be taking place in Lucas Oil Stadium. There are
Lucas Oil Stadium is where the Indianapolis Colts play football, by the way. That is a
yes,
by golly, proper NFL football stadium, one of the best in the league, in the country.
retractable roof too.
Retractable roof, it's beautiful.
And for Gen Con, they cover up the turf,
Yeah, some of the
and
games.
you can get down on the field, and there's events held on the field.
Yeah, some of the events, like Chad said, are actually down on the field. Now, True Dungeon isn't
No.
because of all the setup. It's in one of like the back rooms where I think like one of the home or away team goes. But there's a bunch of conference rooms in the stadium as well. They're used. It's connected to the Indianapolis Convention Center via an underground tunnel. You can also just walk if you feel like going outside for God only knows what reason.
It is
Yes,
just right across
yes.
the street, yeah.
Yeah, it's right across the street, and the street that's connecting it is closed to traffic, I believe.
And there's parking right on the south side. Of
It's not
Lucas Oil.
always closed for traffic.
Well, that's right. There's a parking lot right there, isn't there?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, because obviously we've gone outside there in case it's not apparent here. I actually took a tour of that place before they put the first game in there.
Nice.
This one year at Gen Con that Chris got tickets, and we got to go down the field without it covered.
You,
up.
with all your sports love, didn't just show up to take a
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised I wasn't sweating blue and
random
white while I was down there.
Thursday in
Yeah.
September when just show
Yeah.
up to Indianapolis to
Yeah. Surprising, I know, but
you and Blue taking the tour and Mr. Ursay.
yeah. So anyway, and then of course, as we mentioned earlier, the conference rooms and a lot of the connected hotels are also used now. And then the convention center itself has numerous other rooms that are not the dealer's hall. In fact, the dealer's hall, I don't have a picture here, but imagine a gigantic rectangle, essentially. It's not quite a rectangle because of the way one of the walls is, but essentially it's a giant rectangle.
It's kind of L-shaped.
So at one end, though, it connects to another another giant hall. Now, while they're both open, they're open between them. The other one is where gaming occurs, I believe, up till midnight or 1, and it remains open, and they just seal off access to the dealer's hall while
So
that's
if you,
going on.
If you show up and want to play Boards of Waterdeep at 1 o'clock in the morning, there might be a game going on.
Yes.
There could be. Now,
Right.
this is another important distinction. Again, all that is like ticketed stuff. There's a whole like con culture that goes on here. There are all kinds of games that are not ticketed events. They're literally just people sitting around playing pickup games. They'll be sitting in the hallways of the convention center, the
Hallways of the hotels.
the hallways of the hotels.
So you're just walking down the hallway and someone's like, "Hey, we need a fourth. Are you busy?
Yeah,
You want to be a rogue?"
yeah,
Or someone who
we need a
bought
cleric.
a brand new board game
yeah.
says they'll play 4 players in 2 hours. They want to test it right then and there, and they only have 2 people in their group. So find 2 more people, have a seat, play the game.
Pretty
What
much.
a country.
Yeah, you've got that, like I said, happening all over the convention center because other than last year, where they closed the convention center at a certain hour to do deep cleaning because of the situation we've all found ourselves in. This year, I don't believe they're doing that. I believe they have abandoned that idea because they've realized that surface transmission doesn't happen, as near as I can tell. I'm not a doctor. Do not take that as any kind of medical advice in any way, shape, or form.
I played Doctor a couple times when I was young.
So,
I've watched shows with doctors in them.
okay. All right. I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. That's the only thing I got for that. So we're not going to claim to be a doctor. But as near as I can tell, they're not going to this year. Which what that means is the convention center is open from the start of events on Thursday to 4 p.m. on Sunday for just stuff. So like you could at 3 in the morning stagger in there as long as you know which doors are open, and probably find a pickup game. probably going to be Werewolf, just so you know. It's a social deduction game for those of you who've never played it. I've never played it, but I've seen it played numerous times. Last year, they actually they didn't. In the years past, I've seen people try to co-opt random sets of couches and chairs that are set up around the convention center for lounging, and basically turn that into their little area where they're going to play Werewolf. Whereas last year, we stayed downtown for the first time. We normally stay with some people that we know, and they actually just started taping off sections and just setting up 20 chairs in circles over and over and over again for the games of Werewolf that were going to be going on, and they were just back to back to back to back.
I think that was an actual event though.
I think well, I mean, with that level of preparation, it might have been.
Because they weren't just, hey, take a seat. They were like, this is for group 20, this is for group 10.
Yeah, it probably was then. Well, in years past, it's just been stumbling along and, hey, you guys need another person? Or, hey, guy, gal, whoever, come on. What are you playing? We'll explain later. Have a seat.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I've never personally played, been invited a couple times, but we were kind of on our way out. We just wanted to see what was actually going on. So you've got that. You've got people playing assorted instruments. I don't recall if the Klingon band has been there lately.
The pirate one has.
The pirate one is there. I don't know about the Klingons. The Klingon jail, I think, is gone.
Can we book the band from Mos Eisley?
Maybe. We really just need to get in good with Figure and Dan. Because I think the others are all related to him somehow or another, I think. I'm not up to speed on my Mos Eisley Cantina band knowledge, so I just know the main guys, Figure and Dan. Dirt, Fergan.
I know more about them when they were doing folk music before they had made it to 10. Never mind.
So there's live music going on. There's people doing juggling and throwing assorted things around.
Balloon art.
There's the balloon art. There's all kinds of people in costume.
The big thing that they build all weekend and knock it down.
Yes, there's what they call Card Holla, which is obviously a play on Valhalla with cards.
Holla!
Yeah. And they take donations of cards from people that don't care that their cards get destroyed. You'll see a whole lot of Magic cards. Usually a lot of Star Trek The Next Generation Decipher cards.
I've noticed
Legend of the Five Rings cards.
Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Pokemon cards.
Pokemon. And what people will do is
there's probably been Overpower cards.
Probably, although that's coming back. There's a whole group on Facebook that's rebuilding the game, and
hey, don't call it a comeback.
I got to find my cards and sell them to them. So, because obviously no one around here plays anymore, and I never played the game right to begin with.
And obviously you're not going to donate them.
No. I donate to charities. I don't donate to card people. People come along and they build large, elaborate buildings, or just large buildings. They'll build. There's where this is set is right near the doorway that opens up to Georgia Street, and there's on the second level. There's a walkway over top of it that connects the top level of the front and the back.
So we're in an atrium.
Yeah, and so this walkway has glass rails and everything, well, steel rails with glass. So you can go up there and you can look straight down, and some of the people take advantage of that and build things that you can only really appreciate by going up top and looking down on to see. I've seen people have built a big squid with the tentacles spreading out everywhere.
Yeah, that one was interesting.
They've spelled out GenCon and the year and things like that, but you can't from the ground you can't really see what it is. You have to go up and look down.
There was one year there was an AT-AT.
Yeah.
And I could swear there was a Leaning Tower of Pisa one year.
Yeah, if we ever get our website up and running, I have pictures. I try to get pictures of this every year at a couple different points. So, all this builds towards Saturday night at roughly 10:30, everyone that wants to participate gets together, and they get together to destroy the card buildings by throwing spare change through the buildings. And that opens up with people bid for the honor to throw the first coin. I've only been there early enough to see that happen once, and it eventually winds up with the two sides of the room pooling their resources. And at least the year I was there, the side that won, the guy who won gave a bunch of change to a kid and had him throw it through there.
So are you checking them one at a time, or you had a whole handful of
I think you're supposed to just throw them one at a time, and they warn people don't throw them from the balcony. You know.
Sure, so I could lose an eye.
Yeah, and so the year that I watched it, and I might have the video somewhere, but I only have part of it. There was a structure that whoever built it, like I think they're an actual civil engineer or something, because once almost everything was destroyed, this one building was still standing, and people just kept throwing coins at it. You could see the coins go through, but it would only take out those cards, and like the building was incredibly solid. I think at some point someone might have even thrown a roll of coins through there. But
So
like,
every card was a load-bearing wall, so it didn't matter if you lost one or two?
yeah, like nothing was bringing it down. Like someone would occasionally hit a corner on the outside, like a few cards would come down, but nothing. And ultimately it ended up with a guy who just spear tackled the building.
And part of it still stood
And
after
yeah,
that.
even that, the part from below where he hit was still intact, even with that much damage done
Even with
to
a
it.
nice linebacker form tackle?
Yeah, and so like it was very well built. That's my point here. But yeah, so we'll definitely try to get some video of that. As far as the building of it, various points.
Well, I'm going to be staying downtown this year.
Yes, we might be able to get the video of the event itself. Hopefully, you know. So you have that. Like I mentioned, you got the games going on everywhere. In past years, there have been concerts. We went to go watch They Might Be Giants.
That was the
at
50th.
Yeah, that was the 50th, and that was at the time it was the Conseco Fieldhouse. I have no idea what they call it now.
Game Reach Fieldhouse.
Okay. Again, I'm up to speed on all my sports stuff.
I'm here for that.
Go team.
EA
So-
Sports.
Yeah.
Well, I got the sports.
Okay.
I'll be the sports nerd in the group. How about that?
All right.
A whole series of videos on fantasy football and baseball coming to you.
I will definitely not fight you for that title.
Yeah, fair enough.
And we want videos on Quidditch as well.
Hey, you do not want to see me being a beater.
So,
Wait, what?
so anyway, there have been other concerts there in years past. The theater in the mall, the Circle Center Mall, is like 2 blocks away. In years past, they have run older movies there. Like one year, I watched the original Conan the Barbarian, the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger, not the one with Jason Momoa. There, and they've had
That was before. I mean, if you think you can't understand Arnold Schwarzenegger now,
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. For those of you who've seen the movie, towards the end of the movie, Arnold's longest line, his prayer to Crom, they had it printed in the book that year for GenCon, and it was wildly wrong. Like, I can understand him. I know what he's saying there. And, like, whoever wrote that clearly could not. and it's like it's bad. I will have to dig that up at some point and see what they actually wrote. Like it's not even close. It's bad.
but did they have in there I'll be back?
No,
No.
no, because that one ends with him telling Crom, and if you don't listen to me, then and if you don't grant me this, then the hell with you.
Oh,
I'll do it myself.
Yeah, so that's Conan's theological outlook there. So anyway, they've run Aliens and a number of other movies. Usually, it has to do with a game is somehow associated with it being out, or it's an anniversary for the movie. I think they had the Wrath of Khan there one year. That might have been the year they had the Star Trek Catan game. I know that Conan was tied to a game, if I'm recalling correctly. Aliens definitely was. But it's really hit and miss, and the problem is they don't advertise it. Like, you literally will only know if you go to their website and see what movies are playing that week. Because it'll be like Wednesday and Thursday. And so it's real hit and miss.
Wait, didn't that happen last year with the Idle York for us?
Well,
We just randomly found out that the Idle York was playing the original Ghost in the Shell movie.
We did, but that was because of something like Fathom Events that runs older movies.
Yeah.
Because there were several other theaters around Indianapolis that were playing it. It wasn't because of GenCon. We just happened to luck into it.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Still was nice watching in a 72-foot IMAX theater.
Yeah, that's another fun thing about downtown Indianapolis. They have what's a true IMAX theater, which is something like an 80-foot tall screen. Not one of the ones. There's not very many of them. It's the only one in Indiana. One of the few in the country. And so we watched Ghost in the Shell, the anime movie from the late 90s in Japanese.
Yes. So
With subtitles.
That's what's up.
None of us speak Japanese.
Hey, you don't know. You never asked me.
Brad, do you speak Japanese?
No.
Okay.
I like sushi.
Well,
sushi can be good.
just don't get it at a gas station. Kind of sketchy.
That's wise, Bob, wise.
So,
Does that lead us right into food, or are we still on other things? Okay.
Well, I was trying to think if there was anything else.
There's the giant painting they do.
Yeah, every year there's people that get together and do a giant painting group effort.
Is it body art? Because I would make a giant canvas.
No. There's a large dance in years past. They're going to have it this year, but because again of current events, they're going to limit the number of people that are allowed inside. And that takes place at Union Station, Grand Central Station, Union Station. It's a building that looks kind of like a castle in downtown Indianapolis.
Yeah.
It's just to the south of the circle, isn't it?
Yes.
A couple blocks.
Yes, and if you know what you're doing, you can also get to that completely enclosed from the convention center. You will not be able to get back to the convention center, however, because one of the crucial sets of doors will be locked by that point. You will have to go over land in downtown Indianapolis at night, and I wish you the best of luck.
Yes.
It's not the worst place in the world, but it's not the best place either.
They also have the costume contest, which
yes.
I thoroughly enjoy going to.
Yes, the kind of like people wear costumes all throughout. Some of them do it working at booths. Not going to go into what they used to call some of those people because it's probably no longer considered kosher.
We don't care about that anyway. We support Chad and his desire to dress up like Esmeralda, the half-orc wizard princess. And we love Chad, and if he wants to go to the costume contest and dress as Esmeralda, we fully support that.
Remind me of a dead taping. I actually have a story, not related to Chad, related to the costume.
Esmeralda? Oh.
But the pinnacle of the whole costume thing, the whole cosplay thing, is there's a costume contest every year on Saturday where people enter, and the bulk of them are what you would call the best of the best. You do occasionally get some that just totally phone it in, and I have no idea what they were hoping for. But, and I'm saying this is, to be clear, as someone that doesn't even phone it in. I don't do costumes. So, more power to them to get up in front of 600 people in a crappy costume. But
Well, you don't do costumes at GenCon.
So, anyway, the costume contest, like every year, like totally worth it. Someone films it. I've never seen it wind up online though, so I have no idea if anyone actually puts it online or if they're actually not filming it and purely using the camera for the larger screens for the people that aren't right next to the stage, which to me would seem like a colossal waste, but
Yeah.
what do I know?
Well, surely there's footage somewhere, even if they're not putting it out there. Surely they're putting it out there somewhere.
I would think so, but like I said, I've never been able to find it.
Well, this year we'll axe somebody as per... for one of the tips I had earlier. If you
Yes.
don't know, you better ask somebody.
Yes. Also goes along with DM tip number 1, communication. It's the only one I remember.
Well, that
offhand.
goes with anything, though. That's relationships. That's
Well,
communication is the key.
That's,
To every
it's,
kids,
But
communicate with the people you love.
it's like whenever people say everything is relative. It is. It's all relative. Nothing exists without anything else. I mean, everything is defined by the definitions of other things. It's literally all relative. So anyway, now that we're back from our little trip down, whatever you want to call that.
We'll be back.
Yeah. So, for some people, notably people of the larger variety, trips like this are also an excuse to indulge in the cuisine of the area. So, for GenCon in particular, that comes in
Food Truck Central.
basically, I divide it up into like 3 main components. There are, as Chad mentioned, the food trucks. There are the local restaurants to downtown Indianapolis, which include a number of high-end steakhouses, which we don't normally go to, except for one, which I'll get to in a moment. And the food court in the mall of the Circle Center Mall. So, now, that is your cheap but dependable option. But we'll focus on the food trucks first. The food trucks offer enormous variety. I mentioned Georgia Street earlier. That's a street in downtown Indianapolis. They close it down for at least a block, and the food trucks park along there. They go in 3 different shifts: the breakfast food trucks, the lunch food trucks, and dinner food trucks. Usually within a few weeks of the show, they have a schedule put up so you can see
Yep.
who all's coming. Every year, I keep telling myself I'm going to write down the food trucks I like, and I never do.
And also on that street, Hot Box Pizza will have a stand.
Yes.
The noodle restaurant, I can remember the name too.
Yeah.
We went to them one year.
They're
We
delicious
lucked
noodles.
out. Their line is always super long. And we just lucked out between
I
waves.
think it's Island noodles.
It might be Island Noodles. And we got in a short line for them, and it was good.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, it's Georgia Street, and the way it works is the street itself, a few years ago, downtown Indianapolis, they redid several of the streets. This was one in particular where they made it so instead of it being 4 lanes across, there's now just 2 lanes for traffic and a center area for pedestrian traffic. And then they shut these streets down for festivals and whatnot. So for GenCon, one of the sides of the street has like the Hot Box Pizza. The last few years has seen the addition of Wild Bill's soda, which is excellent.
Very good soda.
You buy a like a metal mug, and you get a little tag, and you get you get free refills throughout the rest of the show.
Oh, yeah.
They charge you based on which day you buy it.
By the way, we're not sponsored by any of these.
Yes.
These are just,
No.
this is what they love, this is what they found.
Places
and
to get food that we really have liked in the past.
Yes.
That's not to say that we won't take a Wild Bill sponsorship, though.
Yes.
Hey.
Yes. Any of you happen to see all this, we'll be more than happy to mention you in every video from here till Kingdom Come. So, but whatever's going to happen is going to happen there. So, metal mugs, they're really awesome. I really should have splurged for the double-lined one, and
Oh, yeah.
I'm in fact going to order one, and hopefully it'll be here before the show.
What, double wall?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you money. Yeah, gotta keep it cold.
And so, they got ice and chest, but it's not. It's Wild Bill's soda, but it's root beer of a couple different kinds, sarsaparilla, grape flavor, cherry flavor. There's a vanilla, I believe.
Yeah.
And a few others, and it's essentially you walk up, you show up, you got your little thing, get ice if you want it, get your drink, and that saves you from having to overpay for drinks at the other food trucks, because you're going to be paying like
$2 for
like $2 for a can of Coke.
Yeah. Or
Plus-
$1.50 for a bottle of water.
Yeah. Plus, depending on your particular sugar liquid addiction, this is better than the Coke. So, Probably not better for you. Not gonna lie about that. It's sugar water, but so, and also if it means anything to you, it's a veteran-owned company. And then also on that side of the street is the noodle place, which again I believe is called Island Noodles, and they're really good. What kind of noodles are they, Joe? They're not. It's not spaghetti. It's an Asian noodle.
Ramen,
They make me think
edamame,
ramen noodles.
rice
Is it
noodles.
ramen?
They're
An
stir fry
Asian low-
noodles
low main
because
kind
they
of
are
noodles.
stir fry.
Lo mein is what I was trying to think of. Thank you, Brett. They'll remind you of lo mein noodles. And as Chad said, the line is usually really long. We lucked out and it wasn't one year and tried it. It's really good.
And to be clear, they're saying where these food trucks or booths are. What they mean is that's where they have been, and they expect that to continue.
Yeah,
this
well,
way.
these three that I mentioned so far.
Hot Box Pizza and Island Noodles have always been there.
Yeah,
where I've
that's,
gone.
that's what I'm saying. But
Yeah, and
we
in the
have
past,
no.
Yeah, we don't know for sure that's where they will be again this year. But
Right.
in the
Well,
past, they've been these
right.
places, and that's because these three aren't really food trucks. These three are fixtures.
Yeah, I just want to make it clear that we
Hot
don't.
Box Pizza is just based in a restaurant down the street.
Yeah,
I've seen
I
them.
think
when
the
they-
Island Noodles is somewhere around there too.
Okay, but the point is
Brad is correct in that
it's
Yeah.
we don't have any
yeah, we don't have
foreknowledge.
foreknowledge of.
We haven't seen a layout of where each one's going to be this year,
Right.
but this is where they have seen them in the past.
Right. So now down the other side of the street is where the food trucks will be, and then they also go a little bit down the street that runs in front of,
Yeah.
perpendicular to the convention center.
And then in past years, they've also had enough to where
Yeah.
they've been outside Lucas Oil
Yeah.
on that street between Lucas Oil and the convention center.
Yeah, and that one's the iffy one. A couple years they have, a couple years they haven't, and you don't know that if you take the tunnel over there because you don't go outside.
Yep.
So, but like I said, every year I tell myself, hey, I'm going to write down the name of these places that are really good, and I don't. And one year in particular, I really wish I did because Chris and I got these salmon tacos that were spectacular, and I have never seen that place there ever again. Or
And
if
he's
I have,
never shut up about it since.
or if I have, I didn't realize they were selling salmon tacos. So, for me personally, I'm a sucker for lobster rolls. So if a truck is selling those, I'm going to try it at least once. But they sell everything. You got your generic end, your burgers and dogs, which you're there the year.
Yes. There's just a truck selling hamburgers and hot dogs.
Yeah, it's literally like I don't think it was a regular food truck. I think it was just like a dad and his kids. They had like a couple grills.
That's
in the back
what
of
it
a
looked
truck.
like to me.
That just went to the store, bought some pre-made patties and dogs, and compared to the other trucks, like it was just like, all right, there's no line.
I can't complain. I've done that with chicken wraps at
When you're
Grateful
hungry
Dead shows.
and
Yeah.
everywhere else has a massive line that's not moving,
Yeah.
you're going to the place that's moving quickly.
Yes.
I got a hamburger and a hot dog.
It was,
And not only
It
if you're
was
hungry,
filling.
if you're on a,
it
if
was,
you're
it
on
was
a,
edible and it was cheap. So
And it was okay.
and it's not only if you're hungry, it's perhaps you have an event to get to.
yes.
And you don't have time to wait in a 35-minute island noodle line. And so Ricky and his sons with the hot dog grill over here is the way to go because you got to get back in to check out your how to build a dice bag workshop.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Me personally, like I said, sucker for the lobster rolls. Try to hit up anything even like remotely steak-ish related. So you tell me you've got like a ribeye sandwich or something, like you're on the list.
Speaking of steak, Bob, how about that Fogo?
Oh, we'll get to that here in a minute. That's its own little.
Yes, that's its own little thing.
Okay, well that was a hint. My butt hurts.
Yeah. So. So there's a great variety. Like I said, everything you can imagine.
I like trying to find the unusual stuff, you could say. Stuff you're not going to see in Indiana all the time.
Yeah, I believe there's a truck in particular that you're a big
Chef
fan of.
Dan's, yes,
Yeah.
because they do have an alligator po' boy. Where else around here can you get alligator at?
I've told you where you came from.
Snaps in the very town that you live in.
What?
Snaps has alligator bites.
That's...
Well, there's also there's also
A place in Evansville,
there's
yes.
a place in Evansville. I can never remember the name. I call it Gator Gyms, but I know that's not the name. I'll find out. I'll tell you the real name later. But anyway, there are places in Indiana that do sell it. So,
But not many.
admittedly, not many. You've got me there.
The one right in the center of the town where you live.
We'll go there sometime.
I don't eat out a whole
We'll go
lot.
there sometime.
That's fair.
The point being, a lot of variety, and it changes over.
There's ice cream trucks, pizza trucks, barbecue trucks.
And I also, like I mentioned, there's the mall food court. It's the kind of food you expect to find in a mall food court. I don't know what else to tell you, but you're going to spend only like $8 or so for a meal versus averaging more like 12 to 15 at the food trucks.
Yeah.
So that's been years past. God only knows what it is right now. It'll probably be like $25 for a can of Coke by the time we go up there.
And it is a little bit of a convenience thing as well. The mall is a couple blocks away, even if you stay inside during the whole walk. It is all the way over there,
Yes.
as opposed to the food trucks being right out there. And if you are in a time crunch, then there's that.
Yes. So before I get to the pinnacle of all this, I realize I also forgot to mention that there are food places inside the convention center. In my personal opinion, therefore, if you are desperate for time, not for money, because you're going to be spending like $6 on a hot dog, and it will not taste like a $6 hot dog. It's going to taste like $1 hot dog. So, but there
Great,
are
Bob.
but there are
Way to alienate the GenCon people.
but there are places like that.
Awesome.
Spread all around. They'll be like, well, someone will have pizza. They'll all have energy drinks, soft drinks.
I bet Monster and Red Bull make a killing there.
Probably, yeah. Like we've partaken in the Monster there before.
Yes, that was we need energy.
Yeah, I mean, people's playing them games
Right,
for
right.
18 hours a day. Some of them probably
Yeah.
sleeping for 4, not bothering to bathe. Give me a Monster.
So there's one little holdout that only serves on it's either Friday or Saturday for lunch. You have to buy it in advance. You have to know about it in advance to buy it in advance. And that is sliders from Ruth's Chris. And the only time I ever bought them, this was based on advice from people online.
And Ruth's Chris, by the way, is one of the high-end steak
Yes,
outlets he was
it's
talking
very
about.
very
earlier.
expensive high-end
It's
steakhouse.
not just in Indianapolis, but there is one in Indianapolis.
Yeah. So, based on advice from people online, which don't take this to be that you shouldn't listen to people online, because I prefer you do listen to us and we're online. So,
Yeah, but we're cool. That's different.
that's an excellent point, there, Brett. I had heard that there's there's really good sliders. You get 2 of them and a bag of potato chips for $10. So another friend of mine who I believe has only managed to go 1 year, Ryan, he and I got these, and we got them. We had to pay for the Coke separate. They had a cooler with cans of Coke. And we picked them up right in front of the building. We had to give them our names because we had to buy them a couple weeks in advance and everything, like I mentioned. And they only make so many and they sell out. So then we go back to the parking garage because it was between us and the convention center just to sit in the car and have some place to eat. Because we just, like I said, picked them up out in front of the restaurant. And we open these up, and the burgers, the sliders, are only about this big around and only about this thick. And my friend's
So initially,
reaction-
your thought is $10.
yes, my friend's reaction was priceless, and I cannot repeat it because I don't know what YouTube actually allows in terms of language, but I think it's all on there. But
And we're not monetized yet, but they would definitely demonetize.
yes. If this video ever got monetized, it'd be demonetized based on this reaction. But let's just say it was extreme and explicit.
Like
So-
that, burn it.
Yes. So then we ate them, and I don't know if it's worth $10, but I'm going to tell you folks here and now, best burger ever had, period, like end of sentence.
That's a bold statement, Bob.
It is.
I mean, I know that you will understand based on my profile and compared to yours in silhouette. But I would assume that you've had a couple burgers in your life
I have.
from a couple different places,
I have.
all over the country,
This is true.
at high end and low end.
Yes.
And this is the best one,
Easily.
the $50 burger.
The $50 little slider thing. To the point that I was like, why does this place not sell full-sized burgers? Yes, they would be expensive. But,
You buy a $20 burger?
it was one of those like, I wanted more. But I realized that to get more, I had to wait till the next year, buy more than one order for myself because it was not satisfying in terms of its size. But in terms of taste, like you could tell high-end steak went into the ground beef for this.
And now we know why Bob's only dungeon crawling one time this year.
No, the order form had popped up for a bit. If they're even still doing it. The only burger that came close was the burger at Burger Study, which unfortunately has closed. And I believe that's because, unless I'm mistaken, the Burger Study was an offshoot of Ruth's Chris. If it wasn't Ruth's Chris, it's one of the other high-end steakhouses downtown, but I believe it was Ruth's Chris. And that's where I saw a friend of mine order a $30 hamburger, but it had foie gras on it, so,
Yes. He
Isn't
also
that duck liver?
it is.
it's fatty duck liver.
Yes. And I will make another bold statement, which, unfortunately, the vegetarians out there among you are going to hate me for this. I'm sorry.
It was delicious.
The foie gras, not that foie gras, I actually had foie gras at another restaurant one time. I understand why that is considered a delicacy.
Okay, well, sure. Okay, I get that.
Like,
but-
I mean, in terms of flavor and taste.
no, I understand.
Like I was sitting there. It was, I believe, the main chunk was duck, and then there were the little foie gras pieces, which they're only about like this big. They're very tiny.
Okay.
Okay, so I was with my parents. My mom was like, "Hey, can I try that?" I assumed she meant the foie gras because, I mean, duck's not super common, but it's
Right.
common enough. So I gave her that, and she's like, "Oh, what's that?" I go, "That's the foie gras. That was the expensive part. That's the reason why this dish was like $40." I was like, "This is like a leg from a duck. That's not a $40 dish." And she's like, "Oh, I meant the duck." And I was like, "I got like 4 of those things. I just wasted one of them on you. Like, clearly, like, ugh." So yes, like eating those, like each one of those was like I can't describe the level of flavor that was packed into that. And it was just,
And for our vegetarian friends, we like broccoli too.
yeah, vegetables are fine too. It just
Chad apparently doesn't like broccoli.
just
Broccoli has to be drowned in cheese sauce
Like-
before it's good to me.
like I don't know what your opinion is going to be of this statement, but things with a face taste better. Like it is what it is. So yeah, vegetables are okay, but gotta have the meat in there
Steak
too.
is better.
Yes.
I ain't mad at you vegetarians. I
Yeah, I'm not mad at you.
I like bacon, but
You've made a choice and you're sticking with it.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Yeah, I'm not gonna judge you.
I have family members who are vegan,
Yeah.
and they're wonderful people, and they make their own peanut butter and do all the things vegan, and that's wonderful for them. And I even like their food when I go there, but when I leave there, I'm gonna have a bacon sandwich. Just saying.
How does the bacon last long enough to get on a sandwich, though?
Oh, well, I mean, it's a sandwich because there's 2 pieces of Wonder Bread. But, I mean,
I was wondering if it's gonna be like the KFC chicken sandwich they had for a while. It was just the 2 pieces of chicken with the cheese in the middle.
that's first of all, genius. I mean, that's no carb, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but regardless, but really, my butter.
Yeah. So anyway, those are your other choices, but the pinnacle of our food part of the expedition
You gotta walk about 3 blocks.
is a few blocks away. It's past the mall, and it is a Brazilian steakhouse known as Fogo de Chão, I believe is how you're supposed to pronounce it, but it looks like it's Chow, but I believe it's pronounced Show or something to that effect.
Shun, I think.
But I don't speak Portuguese, so
It's like
But-
Vietnamese noodles being
We call it Fogo de Chao because when you go in there, you're going to be chowing down.
yes, it is.
which obviously makes us happy.
Yes, it is like I said, it is a Brazilian steakhouse.
For your vegetarians out there.
Yeah.
They
They bring
do
the
have
meat right to your table.
meat-free stuff at their buffet.
Yes, there is a salad bar. I only go to it because there's smoked salmon on it, which is delicious.
I usually go
And
for
if you go
cheeses.
there before noon, or at least during the morning-ish part, you can also partake of the omelet bar that they have if you go for brunch. But the main attraction, they do have an actual menu, but what most people go there for is what they call the full churrasco experience, which is you pay a flat rate, which I believe is $50, and you get all the meat you can eat. They will come to your table with large shanks of meat that have been cooked to different temperatures. They'll ask you, they'll tell you what they have. You know, like, oh, we have leg of lamb, or top sirloin,
Parmesan crusted
Parmesan-
chicken. That is delicious there.
yeah, Parmesan crusted pork. It's just a whole galaxy of meats.
Korean barbecue goat.
It's Brazilian
It's
style.
yeah.
And so then you'll be like, you'll tell them, you'll have a little thing at the table that's like red on one side, green on the other. Stop and go, and that's how they can spot at a distance. Hey, they still want meat. Go to them. So you do that. So they show up and like, hey, here's what we got. Do you want it? Yeah, sure, I'll take some. And they'll whip out a giant steak knife and slice some off. You'll grab it with your little tongs and put it on your plate, and then you eat that and you wait for the next thing to come by. And it is just
Delicious.
it's delicious. It is just like nothing but gorging yourself on various cuts of meat. You can indulge in the salad bar if you really feel like it, but that's less room for the meat.
Yeah,
so,
and despite my earlier words about bacon, this is the part where vegetarians get to have me as their favorite in this group, because I'm not going to Fogo.
they have candied bacon.
Yeah.
I'm sure they do.
They also
I'm not protesting.
at your
Bacon
table
wraps,
put fried bananas,
Yes.
Yeah.
And
you do have the other
two
two
types of polenta.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But
No,
if
just one
if
type.
I'm spending $50 on all you can eat meat, I'm probably not eating any polenta. But
You should. It is good.
well, yeah, I'm sure it is. But $50 for all you can eat meat, I'm not eating a salad. I'll eat a salad the next meal.
You
Love
eat a
salad.
little bit of salad beforehand before you can eat more meat.
I don't know if that. Anyway, I'm not going because there is a seminar that I don't want to miss at that time that they're going, based on when they can go because of all the other activities they have planned. So I'm not going to miss that seminar that I want to go to. So I'm just fogoed out on this one. I'm just
Yes.
bug out of luck.
So, and to be clear, for those of you watching this that have like jumped on, have already been like, hey, I'm going to get some GenCon tickets. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And they're like, oh yeah, I should go to Fogo. You need to plan for at least 2 hours,
Yep.
because it takes a while to get there if you walk. And if you don't walk, it's probably going to take you a minute to get an Uber or taxi or whatever.
Is this also we should make reservations kind of thing?
This is very much a you should make reservations
Yes.
kind of thing. You should do that even if it's not, even if you happen to just live in Indianapolis and you're just like, hey, I want to go to Fogo sometime, make reservations. It is usually packed.
Oh yeah. Especially
So-
around GenCon.
Well, yeah. I mean, there actually is a Facebook group of people that meet up apparently Wednesday night beforehand. So, and we thought that 2 times in the span of 3 or 4 days is probably too much. So that's why we haven't gone with them. Maybe next year.
Maybe.
Start the convention off by gorging ourselves instead of going on Saturday. So
And then go on Saturday, you mean?
I don't want to have a heart attack.
So what they're saying is they aspire to meet sweats.
Yes.
Yeah. I have never personally. None of us have partaken in the omelet bar before. So
Oh, why would you? You get eggs at Denny's.
yeah, but I don't get up in time for breakfast most days. So like I miss eating eggs. And I know the easiest solution is get up, but that's hard.
It is.
You call me tomorrow, Bob. I'll come over and I'll fry you an egg sandwich. You go to Fogo. Don't eat the omelets. That's just dumb.
Well, we're not going early enough for that, are we?
No, it'll be on Saturday. It'll be brunch.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, maybe we'll see about trying the omelet.
I'm definitely getting some candied bacon.
Oh yeah.
Like that's gonna happen.
And hopefully, they have that dessert one they carry around every now and then. It's just
Okay.
like grilled mozzarella cheese that they drizzle honey on.
Well,
That is
yeah,
delicious.
you and Chris are wild about that. I'm not a huge cheese guy, so. But the way they reacted must be fantastic. So
Okay, so that's Fogo.
yeah. So that's
And there are the other, I mean, in addition to Fogo and Ruth's Chris and
yeah. I mean,
other
there's
high-end.
a whole galaxy of other places to eat.
Right.
That's the core.
Yeah.
Like if you're going, try to hit these.
There's
Every
bars
hotel
that'll have your
bar and
generic
restaurant.
pub food. There's your normal restaurants. There's even a Primanti Brothers I saw last time I was there, which Primanti Brothers is a. If you've ever been to Pittsburgh, it started out in Pittsburgh, just one mom and pop store, and they've now franchised out. Apparently, I didn't know that, but there's all kinds of stuff right around downtown there for you to eat.
Yeah, so slight side note on the bar thing. I don't know which ones do this anymore because some have come and gone, but a number of the places downtown, I don't know how what it's like in a lot of other cities, except for Atlanta, which I hear is like the polar opposite of what I'm about to say for Dragon Con in Atlanta. Indianapolis is very, very welcoming of the Gen Con folks, or any other convention for that matter. But like for Gen Con, like there are billboards out on 465 and 70 coming into downtown. There's stuff out at the airport, from what I'm told. I don't fly in Indianapolis, because that'd be ridiculous. But from what people do fly and tell me, there's stuff down there. There's stuff coming into downtown. Restaurants in the area that picked up on it. They will do like Gen Con menus. Now, I mean, it's stuff they normally have probably just Gen Con names, but the point is they put the effort out. You know, they want you to feel welcome.
And it's not just Gen Con, it's anything, it's everything.
Yeah.
The NCAA, National College Athletic Association, National Collegiate Athletic Association. They're headquartered in Indianapolis. The NFL football scouting combine has been there forever, although their lease did run up this year. Their contract did run out this year. They did extend it for 2 more years, but they're trying to get it in like Vegas or LA or Dallas or something. But Indianapolis is built for these things. They have specifically gone out of their way to cater the downtown area to large events.
Yes.
and groups of people. Crossroads of America, the whole bit, centrally located. Indianapolis as a city, their raison d'etre is to host conventions and the like.
Yes.
So you will not find a better place to more welcoming people of, and a town that is eager for you to come there and spend your money than Indianapolis, Indiana.
Yeah.
And maybe Vegas, but that's a whole different thing.
I've been to a convention in Vegas for one of my former job. Very welcoming, but it's an entirely different feel.
I didn't even mean that. I just meant where Vegas is a city that is entirely designed about you coming there and leaving your money.
Yeah. Yeah. Side note, as Brad said, Vegas is built entirely on tourism, so the whole city, you know, they don't need to worry about rolling out the welcome mat for you and your show, because everyone that's there is from somewhere else. So they don't go out of their way, and the convention center is actually kind of far from all the fun stuff.
It is. It's nowhere near the Strip.
And so it's just kind of out there. I think the Las Vegas Hilton is what's right next to it. Which is,
And in downtown Indianapolis, literally everything is within walking distance.
Yeah.
And you can do 98% of that without ever walking outside if the weather's nice.
Yeah. Tell you the biggest contrast I noticed between the two shows. Well, first, like I said, the dealer's hall is the main area. Even though there was a couple little things that sell food and drinks, like they want people like right there, they're not down for drinks. The convention center doesn't have anywhere selling alcohol inside the convention center. Out on Georgia Street, the Sun King Brewery does. That's basically it, and they have an area where you're supposed to stay and drink.
That's a local Indianapolis brewery.
Yes.
Indianapolis brewery.
Yes,
by the way.
and every year they do an online poll for a flavor they're going to have specifically for Gen Con, and there's a whole deal behind it. Whereas in Las Vegas, like there were cocktail waitresses walking around inside the show.
Well, they want you to be drunk. You're better to part your money.
Yeah. For those of you who have never been to Vegas, it's like a world unto itself. Like things that just are crazy and insane and just don't make any sense at all in the regular world. You know, like the aforementioned cocktail waitresses. I mean, I went to eat breakfast somewhere at 9 o'clock in the morning. The bar was open. The cocktail waitresses were walking around. There were slot machines in the front of the restaurant. I mean, it's insanity. It all makes sense there, but elsewhere, no. Now you look at that, and it's like fantasy.
Okay, excuse me. Sorry about this, folks.
So
It's about time to
I think that's basically
cut off anyway.
yeah.
Well, we've still got hopes and dreams.
I need to get going.
Well, we need to hurry.
Or we stop and do hopes and dreams on a separate video.
Okay, deal.
Well, I mean, it's up to you.
Because that's covering like events we're wanting to go to,
Yeah.
what we're hoping to see in Dealers Hall and all that stuff, which there's 3 of us.
Okay, I can do mine, but wait a minute.
I can't.
I'll learn to condense, Chad.
No. Give us an outro.
Oh, okay, well. All right, so might have to do the other part of this sometime later, but that will make sense because it's going to be more of a building up to us going to GenCon video anyway. Probably would make sense to do it there.
The final thing we were going to talk about was it's labeled as hopes and dreams on our outline, but what it is the different events and seminars and
Yeah.
et cetera that we are individually specifically interested in there.
Yes,
Right.
and possibly why we're interested in it,
Yeah.
why we're excited for it, and all
So-
that.
So hopefully we'll get that down. If not, it'll be post GenCon where we talk about what we did do instead. So
And
What-
why we did it, and
yes, so one way or the other. So thank you for watching. If you stuck with it this long, and if not, well, thanks for trying. We appreciate the effort
yes, thank you for trying.
because it definitely just a lot of rambling in there.
If
So
you
That's what
watch
people
our other
love, Bob.
videos,
That's what people
we
love.
are.
that's what I hear. I hear everyone wants authentic experience, and it doesn't get much more authentic than this. So.
Nope.
Well, I just absolutely refuse to do it any other way. I got to be me, Bob.
Well, I wouldn't have it any other way, Brad.
Excellent. Love yous. Remember
So-
the golden rule.
Yep. So everyone, take care of yourselves, and hopefully tune in next time.
Hopefully that'll be soon.
Yep.